All right. Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, all the
Hello.
comments just like popped on the
Oh,
screen. I
I
was like, is
can't see any
anybody?
yet. Oh, there we go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hello and welcome to the first book troop live show of 2023.
Yay.
Um, yes, this month I am joined by the lovely Liv from Liv's Library, who we've never really like collaborated before. Like this is our first
I
time like
know.
chatting,
I
which
was like,
feels
how is the
crazy.
first time ever?
I know, like I feel like I've like known you on the internet for a while, and I'm like, how
Yeah,
is this our first time? I don't even
I've
know.
been watching you for years.
I know, same. I'm like, how is this our first time collaborating? Such like a
I
long time
know.
coming, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will have her channel linked down below if you are unfamiliar for whatever reason. You can go and check out her channel, subscribe. This month we read Wonderland by Jennifer Hilliard together, which was quite an experience. We'll get all into it in just a minute. But while we have some friends joining, would you want to maybe just like, introduce yourself, maybe like say your channel, what kind of videos you post, what kind of books you read, things like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'm Olivia or Liv from Liv's Library. I obviously post bookish content, kind of mixed in with a little bit of lifestyle, cozy aesthetic, all
Yes.
that good stuff. And a couple years ago, I used to just be like a fantasy girly.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then just last year, I started dabbling more into like horror and romance. And so I
Nice.
feel like I'm on this whole self discovery and a whole new world has opened up in the past year for me. So,
That's so
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I read a little bit of everything, manga, graphic novels as well. Good stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
I know. I feel like your videos are so like the cozy aesthetic. Like you've got it nailed. I'm like, teach me your ways. Same with your thumbnails. Oh my god, always so aesthetic. I love
oh,
it.
thanks. I enjoy
Of
it.
course. Yeah. Okay. So I would love to know if anybody in the chat, if you have read the book, maybe you could put a red heart in the chat just so I can get a visual on who has read it. And then maybe if you have not yet read it, maybe you could put a black heart in the chat. Just so I can get a visual on who's all here, because you've read it or not. I mean, we're not going to jump into spoilers right away, so the beginning will be spoiler free if you just kind of want to get a general, thoughts on the book. And then maybe while they're doing that, Liv, would you want to like do just a synopsis, kind of like spoiler free for anybody who hasn't read it but is maybe intrigued at the idea of this?
Yeah.
Just to kind of let
Yeah.
them know, like, what is it about? Like, what are we getting ourselves into with this?
Yeah. So, Wonderland is supposedly this kind of like creepy haunted amusement park.
Mhm.
And several people have gone missing. And so you kind of follow this police investigator as she tries to basically she moves to this town and then she gets to know everyone and kind of figure out the history of the town and what happened to all of these. I think they were all boys, right, that went
Yeah,
missing.
yeah.
So basically, yeah, there's like this supposed like history of this creepy clown museum and you just kind of follow her basically as she uncovers the mystery of the weird
Yeah.
amusement park.
That was perfect. That was like straight to it.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. Well, awesome. It looks like we do have a lot of a mix of like red and
Yeah.
black hearts in here. So I'm glad that so many people were able to pick it up this month. I feel so bad because I didn't really fully realize at the time of picking this that not only is there no audiobook for this book available yet, so I know
Yeah.
for audiobook people like myself, that was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
And then also like this book is so not widely available, or at least not as much as I thought it was, because I know I had a lot of
Yeah.
people saying that they were struggling to get a copy of this one, whether it was like their libraries didn't have it or whatever. So apologies for not realizing how this book was not as widely available as I thought it was, because I thought by picking a backlist that came out in like 2015, I was like, oh, for
Right.
sure it'll have like,
8 years ago. Like,
yeah, like
yeah.
it'll have all the things, but like no, it did not have all the things. So
Yeah. Which
um,
searching for the audio, it is supposed to come out in April.
that's what I heard, and I was like, what?
Of course.
Like, of course it is. Of course.
Yeah.
So, apologies about that. But yeah, so I guess now would be the time when I will want to know the ratings from the people. So in the chat, I would love to know, how did you feel about this book? What is your rating out of 5? And just general thoughts. And then while they're doing that, would you want to start us off, Liv, with your rating and
Oh.
like just a brief like why that's your rating?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I honestly probably would have DNF'd this, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
Fair.
I hate like anybody that knows me or knows my channel knows I like don't post negative reviews. So this is so
Oh,
hard for me to
okay.
say,
No
but
worries.
it's like legit a 1 star from
Okay,
me.
no, no. No, that's totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just I don't think I'm a huge fan of police
okay.
investigation stories.
Mhm.
And then I also thought this was going to be a little bit more like haunted kind of paranormal. I
Yeah.
think those were the two biggest things that kind of threw me for a loop. The writing wasn't bad. It
Yeah.
was just not what I expected going into it.
I
Just
definitely,
to be general about it.
yeah.
But
No, I definitely agree with you on the writing. I think too, okay, so I think I'm giving it 2 stars.
okay.
I wasn't a huge fan of it either. I think the writing is one of my main issues with this book because the writing felt very like dated to me in a way, if that
Yes.
makes sense. I don't know what it was about it, but I was like, how did this publish in 2015? Like this feels like it was written in like the late 90s or like early
Yeah.
2000s. Like
Yeah.
it had a weird like old feel to the writing, but like not in a fun way that would be expected. It was more like a why.
Yeah. Yep.
um, and then yeah, like there was just I'm not a huge fan either of like following a detective point of view kind of thing, and I didn't realize that would take up so much of the story because I do like I guess how we had like different points of view. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
all just Vanessa, but at the same time,
Yes.
like I just found myself really bored. I think I also would have DNF'd this
Yeah.
if it wasn't a book club pick. Um,
Oh
and there
gosh.
were just some things that had me scratching my head, like, what's going on? Like, why is
Right.
this? And yeah, I think the cover, it really makes you think that this is going to be more like horror or have more elements of like this clown museum involved.
Hmm.
But I feel like most of it was just kind of a missed opportunity for me with like the clown museum thing. I feel like it
Definitely.
never really played a bigger part in
I
the story like
know.
I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Um,
This
so
book is what kind of like what I wanted Hyde from Kirsten White to be.
yeah, yeah,
Because I was like, oh, I didn't really like Hyde either. So maybe this one will be like the second chance I need for like a haunted amusement park thing. I was like,
yeah.
oh, that fell flat too.
I know Hyde I gave 1 star. Like Hyde was such a bummer.
Same.
No.
Man.
Okay, so it's not just a police investigation aspect that was dropping the ball. I agree,
Yeah.
Justin. It does feel like a romantic suspense book.
Yes.
And like,
There's
is
way
it?
more romance in here than I
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it is. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Oh,
uh, I do agree with this too, though. It might felt like something I would have enjoyed more in a TV show format
same.
because
Hmm.
I do think, yeah, like the atmosphere of this or the idea of the atmosphere of Wonderland was like a cool concept, but I feel like for me personally, the atmosphere was not nearly as strong as I wanted it to be. You
Yep.
know, it was just
Yep.
kind of like, oh, it's cool. It takes place in this park, but it was never like it never felt that.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how to explain
Like, yeah, like I could picture the setting in my mind and
it.
like kind of the creepiness,
Yeah,
but the atmosphere, like, I don't know, being a fantasy reader too, like most of it's
yeah,
about atmosphere. So I
exactly.
was like,
Yeah,
oh, I just need that punch, and it didn't quite
yeah.
get there.
And
But
with a book like this, I feel like atmosphere is a huge factor in a book that takes place in like,
absolutely.
this kind of carnival theme park type of thing. Like
I
I feel
know.
like I just wanted more of
Yeah,
that. Um
same.
yeah. Okay, cool. Well, the first question I wanted to ask is have you read this author's books before? And if so, like how does this one compare if you have?
I have not.
Okay,
This
you
is my
haven't.
first, which
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was kind of
Yes.
like,
No.
I own two of her other books, and I still
Okay.
want to like read more of her other stuff because I
Yeah.
really feel like I could enjoy it. And I
Yeah.
was excited to start with the backlist so that
Yeah.
way, like, it can only get better from here, right?
You
Like,
would hope so. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
So now
wild. I
it's
didn't
my
realize that.
first time.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, hopefully
Yep.
it doesn't leave it too bad of a taste in your mouth.
I'm gonna give her a second chance. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I'm like, I have the worst luck because I've read like 4 or 5 of her books now, but I've only read 2 of her books for my book club, and I hated the 2 that I read for my book club.
No.
No, but like everything else I read from her was like 4 or 5 stars. So like,
Okay. Which
what?
ones did you like?
I really liked Jar of Hearts is probably my
Okay.
favorite from her, and then I also really liked The Butcher, and I really liked Little Secrets was pretty good
Okay.
too.
I have
But yeah,
Little Secrets and Jar of Hearts. So,
okay, yeah, sweet. I think Jar of
okay.
Hearts is probably her best. It's just so freaking so good.
Okay.
But
I'll give that one a try then.
yeah, like last year though, we read Things We Do in the Dark, which was like her new release, and I gave it 1 star, and I was like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
such a disappointment.
I know. So okay, well, yeah. So do you think you're completely put off though from like reading her stuff in the future, or are you still like, I'll give her stuff a shot?
I'm always like the type of person to give someone a second chance.
Yeah,
Like, because
cool.
I have favorite authors, like Lee Bardugo, for example,
Yeah.
hated Ninth House, but I love everything else. So it's
True.
like
Yeah.
I'm more than willing. I don't want to write her off completely.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
mean, yeah, I'm sure
That's
her writing gets better and everything too if this was backlist. So
I think so, yeah. I feel like this writing felt different to me. I felt like this didn't feel like her normal writing, so
okay, that's good to know.
I don't know. But like, okay. And then I guess yeah, we've talked about writing, we've talked about pacing, atmosphere. One of the questions I had was like, did you enjoy following from the point of view of so many characters, or did you ever feel like it was way too much and you were like, who the f is that? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Because like
At,
I find like I get super overwhelmed sometimes when there's like
mm,
so many characters and I have to like make a chart and stuff. Like, how did you feel about
yes.
that? Did you feel the same, or were you like,
I think I was confused kind of in the beginning, but
mhm,
then when I could finally wrap my head around, okay, who is who, I was okay.
mhm,
Again, fantasy is usually pretty intricate too, so I think
absolutely,
I was okay with
yeah,
it, but I always find myself wanting to, oh, I want to get to this viewpoint. Like this one is boring, so let's just jump back to this portion of the book.
yeah.
But
See, which perspective did you find yourself preferring?
hmm, maybe Ava, because she was
Oh, okay.
younger and she was actually in the park. And I was
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm ready for the creepy vibes. Or
and
even Blake.
yeah,
Not to be spoilery, but
yeah.
for reasons.
Yep, yep.
Because I'm like,
No,
the suspense. That was the suspenseful part of the book for
mhm.
me, was those two that were actually in the park. So
Yeah, interesting. I agree that I would have much rather had more point of views than, like, just Vanessa, because I feel like if we only had Vanessa, I feel like it would have gotten really boring with, like, just the detective point of
yeah.
view, and, like, I would have been, like, bored to tears, you know?
Yeah.
So I did like having multiple point of views. I just don't know if we needed, like, all of them,
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, like, say Oz's character, like, I feel like we don't, or at least for me, I feel like I didn't really get anything out of having Oz
Yep.
as a perspective, or, like,
Same
even
here.
Bianca, like, she was interesting, but, like, was it needed? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wasn't necessary.
yeah, like, there were some that I was just like, I don't know, like, I don't know about that. So, yeah, I would agree too that all the characters felt very one-dimensional to me
Yep.
too, or just kind of like
Yep.
stereotypical kind of, yeah.
Exactly. Wasn't
Mhm.
invested.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Could not care less where it was.
I didn't have the connection with any of them that I wanted.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh
Bianca's gotta be
gosh.
one of the most like,
The
"Ooh."
creeps.
One of the most, yikes.
I know.
Um,
Uh
okay. Yes, and then also, so how did you feel about, like, the romance between Vanessa and O well, actually, okay, should we just get into spoilers? Because I feel like this is leaning into
yeah,
spoiler
we're
territory,
going there.
so, yeah, so I feel like if you have not yet read the book, thank you so much for being here, appreciate you so much. We're gonna be jumping into some spoilers now just because I don't wanna risk potentially spoiling the people that do not want the spoilers. So we're just gonna head right into spoilers. So thank you so much for being here. If you do not want to hear spoilers, now is your warning. So yeah, so then the question would be, how did you feel about the romance that was happening between Oz and Vanessa? Like, did you care? Were you rooting for them, or were you just like, what the heck?
I was just neutral. I was
Yeah.
like, I give or take. Like I don't need it for this book
Hmm.
specifically.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, I felt like I was, because right in the beginning when she like, I thought it was, well, not that it was bad that she like had a one night stand the first night. She was like about to start a
Hmm.
new job, whatever. And then it was like, I was like, I read so much romance and I'm like, this is the typical like romance setup where
Yeah.
like, oh my god, she sleeps with a guy she's gonna have to like work with. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, is this supposed to be like, like a romance setup? Like what is going on here?
Yep.
And I don't know. I thought it was frustrating, like reading about how Oz just kept trying to like hit on her while she kept
Oh
trying to like,
yeah.
do her job, and she was just like, "Can you
Yeah.
keep it professional?" And he's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, I just like I don't know." It
Like,
was just
dude,
like,
go away.
yeah, like I was
Yeah.
like, "Bro, like take a hit." Like she's trying to do
I
something.
know. I
Like it was
know.
frustrating.
Oh, it's
Um,
kind of an eye roll. Yeah.
yeah, so I was just kind of like, "Okay, dude, like I'm over this." Like, yeah, the romance was just kind of like, I don't
Yep.
know why this is here. Like, yeah, I don't think you
Exactly.
can call it a romance because he was kind of a little creepy sometimes.
Yep.
I don't know. So yeah, and then also, yeah, Oscar's character, like, I'm so confused on if we were supposed to like him or not
I
as a,
know.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, am I supposed to feel sorry for him? Because
Yeah,
honestly, I don't.
yeah. Yeah, I did have a lot of questions, or when I posted on my Instagram for, like, things that people wanted us to talk about, they wanted us to talk about, like, the transphobic comments that Oz made
Mm.
towards the end of the book, and
Oh
I
gosh.
definitely took note of that because I was like, "What the fuck is this man's problem?" Like,
I know.
he was literally talking to, there was, like, an old friend, that
The
now goes
lawyer.
by the name of Jane. Yeah, and it was the lawyer, yeah, and, Oz is just oh my god, like being such a fucking douchebag the
I
whole
know.
time. He's like, "Oh, you wear makeup now. How am I supposed to feel about that? Like, it's so weird for me." Like, what
Yeah.
was? Like, shut
Yeah.
up.
Like
And like,
we were friends until my transition. I'm
yeah,
like,
like so rude. And the
I
way
had to
he said
read that
it,
like 5 times. I was
I
like,
know,
am I really reading this right
I
now?
know, same. I kept going back and I was like, wait a second, because I was like, is he really being like that right now? Like,
I know.
they're so rude.
Yeah.
And the way
Not
he's
cool.
trying to like dismiss their friendship as like, oh well, we just used to play basketball together or whatever. Like that's all. Like
Yeah.
he's like, we weren't even friends, kind of thing. Like trying to
Yeah.
dismiss it. Like, what the heck? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. There was a
Oh,
lot of points in this book where I felt like things like that were just kind of
yeah,
like thrown for I'm like, what was the purpose behind it?
I
I
know.
don't know. There's a
It's
lot of
weird.
triggers in here.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like I don't I it's like it's one thing if the author is doing that to try to make us not like the character because then it's like
Right.
okay, I get that like Oz is supposed to be this unlikable character and maybe that's how we're supposed to feel about him towards the end of the book like his true colors are getting revealed, you know, because it's like yeah, I mean at the beginning like we don't really know much about him but then towards the end when we find out like oh, he had this whole thing with Bianca and he was not even being like faithful to
Right.
Vanessa. So it's like I don't think we were supposed to like him at the end of the day, but I was
Yeah.
still really thrown by all of that. I was like, what
Yeah.
the heck
It
is
was like
going
a complete character shift at the
Yeah.
end. And I was like, what?
Yeah. It was
So
just like
confused.
it was just like, is this necessary? Like what is happening?
Yeah.
So I know, imagine
Not
this being
okay.
a lawyer who actually wants to help you.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No words. Literally no
I
words.
know. I feel like too there was a lot of moments in this book where like the plot would just have like the biggest plot holes and it wouldn't really make sense to me and then it would just like continue on and like ignore that. Like even like the beginning, like I was kind of hooked by the prologue where like the guy Blake is like climbing to the top of the whatever
Yes.
and he's like, look this, whatever. And he's like,
Yeah.
and then it's like he fell or something, I assume, off the top of the wheel, and then he's like abducted or something. And I'm like,
Right.
how did he not fucking die? Like,
Yeah. I was
what?
so confused by that.
I
I'm
know.
like, how did he get from here to
I
here?
know,
Like,
and I'm like the whole time I'm like trying to imagine in my head, I'm like, how did this happen? Like he fell off the top of the fucking like wheel,
yeah.
and somebody just like caught him and
Like,
fucking took him.
hello, let me
Like,
catch
what?
you, take you to this creepy dungeon.
The whole situation, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like I'm
I
so
know.
confused.
I
And
know.
even too like the whole idea of the when they found the like homeless Harry like the body or whatever,
Yeah.
and the way that they like the police immediately assumed for some reason that he was like in his 40s or 50s, and then like the next chapter they were like, oh, he's actually like 20 or something, and I'm like,
Oh,
would that
yeah.
would that really like I don't know anything about police stuff or whatever, so maybe that does
Mhm.
happen, but I was like, okay, that kind of felt like it was just thrown in for the sake of the plot of like, oh, he's actually 20 and like, oh, now it makes
Yeah.
sense. Like
Yeah. Oh, now we care. Like,
yeah, it was just like I don't know, it's so strange.
yeah.
um 48% of the way through and it sounds like you guys are talking about a completely different book than
Oh
we're
my gosh.
oh my god. Oh no. um
Oh,
oh
man.
oh wait, did they say that it was only a 10-foot fall?
Like a three, I thought it was like a three-story fall. But
Yeah,
yeah, it
what?
doesn't, yeah,
Because I'm
nothing
imagining
matched
like a
up.
big old Ferris wheel in my head,
Yeah,
like
me
big.
too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh, I'm
Hmm.
confused now.
That would make sense why he actually lived then if it wasn't as
Yeah.
big as we're picturing.
Glenn's disappearance was made to be the bigger event than it was required. Kept going. I know, and that whole thing too. The whole thing because Glenn was the one that was he was the one that like went away, and then he was gay, right? And then he had like the photo cards of the boys or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
whole thing made me super uncomfortable too with the way that they were
Oh,
handling it,
yeah.
being like, oh well, like you, it must be you because you're attracted to boys. Like
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
whole thing
That
was really like,
was
huh?
it was so uncomfortable, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh.
What was this, Mika? Because somebody asked about it. Her hands found their way under his shirt, and she moved her palms across the small of his back to the little tuft of hair. Just went, what are we talking about? Is this to prove that this is like a romance story?
Probably. Probably.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on in the chat over here.
Oh.
Um, oh, it was said that he managed to grab onto a wheel while falling down to break the sand.
Oh.
Oh, I
Okay.
must have missed that. I must have missed it.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just like, I'm scared of heights, so I was like shaking the whole time I was reading.
Yeah.
That's all I was focused on.
Yes. How did
Oh
you
my
feel
word.
about like because if you said you enjoyed Ava's chapters, then were you like intrigued by the kind of like romance, well not romance, but like the situation that was happening with Ava where there was like that other boy that was like into her and there was like
Yeah.
things happening.
I just wanted to like follow her through the clown museum part. I think
Yeah,
that's what it was. But
because she was
honestly,
like
I
working there.
kept yeah, and I honestly kept thinking that she was like at least 16 the whole time.
I
I don't know
know.
if you felt weird about that, but I was like
Yeah,
14.
I
That seems to
know.
be very young to even be
Yeah.
like working. I mean, I don't know, but
You know, did they say they were like, "Oh, well, we usually only allow like 16-year-olds to work in
yeah,
this clown museum, but because you're hot or something," like I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know what the
yeah.
reason was. They were like, "We're gonna let you."
The reason didn't make sense to me,
Yeah.
other than like, oh, your mom's a police investigator, so you can do whatever you want. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, I know, that was very, very strange, and that whole thing too at the end with, Ava getting, like, tricked by that guy and, like, getting put into the like, getting, like, locked up in a closet at the end.
Right.
That was so, like, "Oh my god, what?"
Yeah, that was so odd. I don't
Uh,
even yeah.
yeah, Ava is, the daughter
Yep.
of Vanessa. It's, like, her 14-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
Um Yeah, and then, yeah, I see people talking about how Nick survived. That whole thing was very strange to me, how, like,
Mhm.
Nick was in like, clown museum dungeon thing, whatever,
Mhm.
with, like, the other boys, because for all of the friends who've DNF'd it or who have not finished it,
Yeah.
there was a moment where it's revealed at the end that Nick, which was, like, Bianca's uncle, was
Mhm.
actually alive the whole time. He was, like, being kept in the dungeon, or whatever, and
Right.
he was down there for, like, 8 years or something
Yeah.
like that, and
That's
it's like
insane.
I
That
know,
was
it's like
probably like my favorite part of the
I was gonna
book.
say that was, like, one of the more shocking parts for me,
Yeah,
like
I didn't see that coming.
yeah, the whole thing, yeah, the reveal of the uncle, the original park owner was a nice moment. I
Yeah.
was kinda surprised too because I thought that, like, for some reason, I thought it was said that Bianca had actually killed him.
Yeah. That's what I
Or I guess
thought.
she just thought she did, right? Because like,
Right.
he didn't actually end up dying, I guess. But it's like, yeah, I think they said he got, like, bashed over the head or something, and then he
Yep.
was, like, down there with a freaking head injury for, like, 8 years, and I'm like, "How?"
Yeah. And didn't they say because Oscar loved Bianca so much that he's the one that helped hide Nick's body, right?
I know, I
I think that's
think
how it
so.
went.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Oscar ended up having a little bit more involvement than I
Mhm.
expected him to. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, for anybody wondering, because I know I don't know if y'all finished the book or not, but, it was like the ending of the book, it was revealed like, so that plot twist that was, like, one of the big plot twists in the book, it was revealed that, what's his name? Donnie or Danny?
Yes. I
Donnie?
think it was Donnie. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that was, like, the 26-year-old that was working with Vanessa, it was revealed that he was, like, the mastermind behind, behind all of the boys' disappearances.
Mhm.
I can't even remember the reason why
I
he did
can't
it.
either.
I know, like, what was the reason why he did it, though?
To protect, I don't know, the town's reputation because everybody was obsessed
Oh,
with, like, their small town, and,
that might have
I
been
mean,
it. That might
I
have
don't
been
know.
it.
Did it
Yeah,
have
so
something to do with Earl maybe? Loyalty to Earl? I don't
oh, I
know.
know. I thought for sure that Earl was gonna have, like, more involvement towards the end,
Yes.
'cause I was like, "This
Me
dude is
too.
covering up things, like, left and right and, like, not even looking into, like, missing people," so I was like, "He obviously has, like, more
Mhm.
involvement here," but I feel like he never did, or it never really, like, explained his involvement.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Donnie, he was the one that was,
Yep.
Mhm. See, I personally did not see the Donnie thing coming. I don't know if I, like, loved it, but I didn't see it coming, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think I
Um,
was more concerned about Earl, like, the obvious choice of, "Why didn't he look into these missing people?" Like,
oh, that's right, this was the reason. He was jealous of Bianca's
ah,
boys. Oh my god, okay, yeah, I forgot. So it was also revealed to us that he was like, back when he worked at Wonderland, he was with Bianca. I totally forgot about this.
right.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, so he did it because okay, I feel like that's even worse of a reason to be
Yeah.
honest. We were like, "He's protecting the town." Like, no.
My memory is terrible, you
I
can't
know, it's
trust
so
me.
bad. Oh my god. the Donnie reveal was good. I was so surprised. It's because he was obsessed with Bianca. Yep. So like he was like, I'm gonna get revenge. And so anytime one of the new boys was like getting with Bianca, he was like, I'm gonna take them out.
So crazy.
I know. So yeah. Um oh my gosh, this is so funny to me because I live in Washington and there was just so many like
Yeah.
Washington references made constantly. It was like the Puget Sound and like the Seahawks and like and
Yep.
the way they kept being like Seaside is such a small town. Like we rely on Wonderland for everything. I was like, oh my god, how many times are they gonna talk about the fact that there's like 1,200 employees that work at
Right.
Wonderland and like
Right.
it's just so obsessive with details. I was like, okay.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I agree. The Donnie thing was kind of funny. Like, I don't know how I feel about him being the main thing behind because like I'm kind of like, why? I mean, like, I guess if he's so obsessed with Bianca, then I guess I understand it to an extent. But like, I don't know. I feel
Hmm.
that's a little bit underwhelming for me of a plot
Yeah.
twist.
Yeah. For
Um,
sure.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, I guess it's like a double twist in a way that like, oh, Donnie's the villain or whatever, and then Nick is actually alive, and there's that. So, um, I don't know. But were you shocked by Nick being alive in the end, or was that like,
I was. I mean, the Donnie thing I didn't necessarily see coming,
mhm.
but the Nick thing I definitely didn't. I feel like I should have though.
Yeah. Oh
Because I was
no.
like, who is this random person that's still alive, like giving Blake these candy bars to live off of? I was like, it's got to
Yeah.
be someone like on the good side here. And I can't
Mhm.
believe I didn't even think about Nick. Probably because he's supposedly dead, but
That's so true though, too. Like, why keep Nick alive? Like, what was the
yeah,
reason?
that was part of the most unsatisfying part to me about the end was like, okay, what happened to him? Like, did he
Yeah.
like take back over the park?
I
Like, did
know.
Bianca get punished? Like,
Yeah.
I need to know, and I
It did.
never.
It just kind of left it off.
Just
Yeah.
like, yay, he's alive, and then literally that was it. It's like, okay, that's
Oh.
great, but
He kept Nick alive because if he felt closer to Bianca with Nick still alive, was that the actual reason?
what?
Hmm.
Interesting.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I agree. The plot twist was underwhelming for me because it ultimately had nothing to do with the park itself. Exactly. And
Exactly.
that's why I feel like the atmosphere could have been so much better because I feel like it all should have tied in more at the end. Like
Hmm.
I feel like even the clown museum, like the idea of it was cool, but it was never really like explored very much or like
Right.
utilized very much throughout the story. Like
Right.
I don't remember it ever describing even like a clown wax figure or nothing. Like
No,
I don't think
no.
so.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, question. Then who was the body they found at the beginning? Was it really a homeless guy? No, it was Aiden or
Eight.
something.
Yep, it was one of the missing boys, right?
Yeah, it was one of the missing employees. I think they did reveal it like around halfway through the book that it was actually like one of the boys because at the
Hmm.
beginning they were saying, "Oh, it's a 40-year-old like homeless man," and then they were like, "Oh wait, actually no, it's one of the 20-year-old missing boys." Like all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
convenient." Um,
Exactly.
I totally called it Nick being alive, but the Donnie thing was a shocker, and as was Oz hiding Bianca's crime.
Yep.
Bianca was just like rough to read in this book because she was just
Oh,
like using every single person.
oh, it gave me the ick big time. I was like,
Yeah, I was
oof,
like, girl,
no
what are you
thanks.
doing? um,
Uh,
I think that was interesting too. The fact that Vanessa killed her husband was so random, and they never brought it up again. I know.
yes.
I want to remind us
I
how this happened because I'm spacing.
I don't remember, like, it was supposedly like he committed suicide from being in the war,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
PTSD. And then I was like, wait, she shot her husband, but why? And then who helped her? I think one of
I know.
her husband's friends like helped her cover that up or something.
I know. I
I
can't.
There's so many like unanswered
Yeah.
questions for me. Like the
Was
Nick
it,
thing and ugh,
was it because
frustrating.
he was like abusive to them? I can't even remember if there was
It
like
could be.
I can't even remember if there was like a reason why it happened. Um, yeah, they didn't explain why she killed him. Oh, the mayor helped her. Oh, that's why she got the new job.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Okay,
I think
thank
things are
you.
clicking.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Oh, okay. Said it was self-defense, but she shot him. It was Frank that helped her. The mayor. He was abusive. Okay.
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 Gotcha.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I feel like this book's plot was very messy. I feel like it was a little bit
Mhm.
all over the place.
Yep.
Um Let me see. Um, one of my last questions was like, if you didn't enjoy the ending, what do you think could have been changed to improve the ending, or did you have any theories about like where this could have been going, or were you just like not invested and didn't care?
I mean, everything wrapped up nicely, but like I
Yeah.
said, the only like unsatisfying thing was like the Nick part.
Mhm.
Like what happened after that? Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
I would
know.
agree. I do think the ending for me was probably like one of my favorite parts of the book, or it was like one of the only parts in the book where I felt like I cared. And like
Yeah.
the ending of the book was the only reason why I gave it 2 stars instead of 1 star, because I found
Hmm.
myself a little bit more invested in like those last like 50-ish pages or so when it was all, coming to a head. I can't even
Yeah.
remember exactly how it was revealed to us that it was Donnie, because it was somebody saying like, "Oh, it's like a Danny or something," and she's like, "Wait, Donnie," and it all like clicks for her, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh my god!" And then I
Didn't
don't
they
know. I thought
find him? Didn't they find him in the clown museum with Ava? So
yeah,
when
it
they
was like a
got there, they were
whole
like, "Oh, it's you."
a whole showdown, yeah, I was like, "Oh my god,"
Yeah.
because Ava was, like, trying to help that guy Blake or whatever, like, escape
Yes.
or something, and then
Yeah.
he said, like, "Oh, there's a man coming." I also thought it was so random too how that guy that ended up, I can't remember what his name was, I think it was maybe Carlos, the guy that ended up kidnapping
The janitor.
or
Yeah.
yeah, and then he had, like, no involvement with anything at the end, he was just trying
Yeah.
to, like, harm her. Like,
Yeah.
that was so
I
messed
I
up.
was questioning. I was like, okay, so what was his motive in the park? I was like, oh, there
Yeah.
isn't one. He's just a creepy dude.
I
Like,
know, like, he's just there to try to get with, this young girl,
yeah,
and that's,
yeah,
um,
weird.
mhm. Um, I think the plot being all over the place and having so many characters was annoying, but at the same time made the twist more surprising that Donnie was behind
Yeah.
everything. I mean, I would agree that I feel like whenever you have that many characters, it's like it's easier to make a surprise twist because there's so many freaking characters, Like,
Hmm. Yeah, it's
um,
kind of meant as a distraction. Gives you
mhm.
more suspects.
Oh, I see. It was the kid Xander that revealed it. It was the one that was trying to like hook up with Ava.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. I feel like there's just so much happening at the end.
There was like the pacing was pretty even throughout the whole book. In the last 50, 80 pages, I was like, whoa, who is this
Yeah,
again?
I know it's like thrown so much on us. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed the scenes set in the dollhouse and clown museum. It definitely gave me the atmosphere I was looking for. Well, that's good.
Hmm.
I'm glad. I just needed more of it. Like more.
And what was the story behind like the dolls? Wasn't there like a local lady that used to collect them or something?
Oh,
And
something like that.
I
Yeah,
wanted more from that background too. I was like, how did this clown museum come to
yeah.
be?
I
But
know. There was
didn't
like a
quite
lot
get
of
it.
description about like the beginnings of like Wonderland and how it was like, oh, this creepy dude like Jack just wanted a place where he could like make young men come and work for him, get away
Which
with
was
it.
also really weird that he only chose specific looking people.
Yeah, I know. They were like, you have the Wonderland look. Like,
Yeah,
what
I'm
the
like,
fuck does that
excuse
mean?
me?
Like, ew.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Yeah, basically we have 3 books in one.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this book. Like it's like a romance,
Seriously.
it's like part like yeah, it's just
Yeah.
um oh, Shaw's mother collected the dolls and he started the
Oh,
museum.
okay. It was his
Okay,
mom. That makes sense.
got it. Okay, sweet. Um yeah, that's how I feel too. She just threw a lot of plot devices in a jar and started writing them out.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, okay, I think the last question that I have was like, if you had any, books or movies or TV shows that you would compare to this, if you had any, like maybe if they
Mm.
didn't like this one or if they liked it, something with kind of like similar vibes or similar atmosphere. If you had any recommendations,
Yeah.
chat will if you don't.
Yeah, I was like, the only thing I could think of is like amusement park settings, which would be like
Yeah,
Hyde by Kirsten White or Fantastic Land, which I
I've
haven't
been
read.
hearing, yeah, I've been hearing about Fantastic Line. I haven't read that one either.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard the audio actually has like a full cast of characters because it's written as a podcast. So that
oh,
sounds kind of good.
yeah, I didn't realize that.
But yeah,
Um,
other than those two, I don't have any
yeah.
other suggestions.
Okay, so Fantastic Land is like good then. Like,
I think so. A couple
hmm,
of my friends have enjoyed it, but
hmm. Oh, that's actually so true. Cirque Berserk.
ooh,
I
yeah.
don't know. I didn't think of that one immediately, but that is really good. It's like a horror novella, and it's pretty short. But that one does take place in like a carnival setting, and that one is yeah, the atmosphere is 10 times better. It's like so creepy. It's so well done. Uh,
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd love to know if anybody else has any kind of, similar vibe Rex, because yeah, I know I'm still searching for that perfect theme park thriller.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
didn't realize it'd be so hard to find,
I know. I
Um,
don't think I've seen many other like movies either that kind of have the same vibe.
yeah,
I
I
was
was gonna
trying to
say the
come up
movie
with some.
Haunt. That one has a really,
Mm,
really similar like atmosphere with like the clown, park type of thing. Um,
gotcha.
oh, that's interesting. Mayor of Easttown. I can see that.
Huh.
That's like a detective show with Kate Winslet. I really enjoyed that show.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I know this one. Indigo Ridge.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I don't think I know that either. The Getaway. I don't know if I know what that is either.
Sounds familiar, but
Yeah. Oh, okay.
oh, I was
Friday.
gonna say this one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Even though there are no clowns, Cuban Killer. Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I've heard of Joyland. That's a Stephen King. I
Yes.
can see that. All right, interesting. Good to know. Yeah, so I guess to wrap this up, would you want to, promote any videos that you've done recently or talk about any recent reads that you have enjoyed since this was such a epic fail for
I
both.
know. But that's what makes it fun to talk about.
I know it does. It does. I don't mind.
I currently don't have anything big going on. Like, I'm not really hosting any readathons right now. I feel like the beginning of the year is always just kind of slow,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I am currently reading Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, which is really good so
Oh,
far. It
yeah.
has like Knives Out, Agatha Christie kind of vibes.
Okay. Nice.
But that's kind of what I'm currently up to.
Yeah,
But it's
that
been
book
kind of
looks
slow.
interesting. I've been seeing that one
Yeah.
around recently, and I'm like, okay, what is this?
Yeah, it's definitely intriguing. I feel like people are either gonna love or hate the writing style.
Okay.
So I'll be interested to think what you think if you
Yeah.
end up
Good to
picking it up.
know. I'm really
But
curious about that one.
yeah.
Dang. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps up this live show. So thank you so much to all of the friends who were able to join us and read along this month. And thank you so much to Liv for joining
Thanks
me
for
for this
inviting me.
episode.
This
Yeah, I'm
is so
so
much
sorry that
fun.
it didn't end up working out. And it was like literally over 400 pages with no
I
audio.
know.
It was a struggle. So I'm so sorry. You're such a trooper. Thank you so much
No,
for,
I was excited to read a Jennifer Hillier because
yeah. I
I've
know.
heard
I'm
so much
sorry. I'm
about
like in
her.
such a like not a good
I will
one,
let
but
you guys know when I read another one by her because I'm sure I'll like it.
yes, yes. Next month for the book troop, we will be reading Nana by Brandon Massey, which is like a
Ooh.
paranormal horror type of book. So hopefully, maybe that one will give us better luck. I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much for joining. Just a reminder, Liv's channel link will be in the description, so you can go and check her out, show her some love. And thank you so much to everybody for joining us. We're gonna head out and have a good rest of your Sunday. Bye.